Alright, one of my objectives was to focus on movement issues, imbalances, and just lifestyle problems with how we use our body really with the clients in our internship. And we run across a lot of athletes and then some a lot of adult women who like to work out to get in shape, and a few men. But a lot of it is high school athletes and middle school athletes. And my idea was that I was going to try to get involved and help a bunch of people out with their movement problems and, fix them right away. And boy, was I surprised when I got going in this internship. It's been pretty fun and pretty challenging, and so I'm really thankful I kind of chose that at the beginning and put myself through it, because it's been a ride. I wanted to try to fix people's issues, and by doing so, I found all of my own issues that are causing a bunch of problems in my own exercise. And all of a sudden I realized that these issues that I, myself, and these other clients have are playing a role not only in their lifting, but their sport and their real life. And vice versa, the things that they have going on in their real life, their imbalances there, or issues in movement affect their training, which affect their sport. So I just realized all of a sudden, the more I researched, the more I read, and the more I worked, I realized how complex the human body is, which I knew, but it's been a joy to see how extremely complex we are as humans. And so movement is not something that's easy to fix. I mean, we've learned in school, there's motor control problems, but what we find is that, what we're finding here is that there's a ton of motor control problems, a ton of range of motion limitations, and then on top of that, there's a ton of imbalances. And so one thing that I have enjoyed doing is researching with my supervisor Travis, and we've really made it a focus, and he's going to take this as he goes into the next fall semester with these students and try to gear his training more towards corrective-based training, which is cool, because what we used to, what my initial thoughts were, corrective is good, it'll prevent injury. And the more I read, the more I kind of put myself out there, I realized that, wow, the minute I fix my imbalance, or the minute I fix some range of motion issues, not only does my chance of injury go down, but my performance shoots up and skyrockets. I'm able to do things easier with less intensity, or I should say, I can do them with more intensity, and it's easier on my body, and I can do it for longer. So that's one thing that's been pretty exciting, and one thing that we've been able to work on. So I'm going to go through a couple of things that we worked on that we're using. We got two books that we kind of been basing our training off of. First is Gray Cook. I know this is backwards, but Gray Cook FMS system. It's been really helpful. We've been reading through this book. As you can see, we got pages marked up here. We got underlined stuff. Gray Cook. We've got the movement, the FMS system right here. We learned about that in school a little bit, so that's been pretty cool that I could take that right from my classes at school and just kind of use it right here. The other one is a book. It's called Becoming a Supple Leopard by Dr. Kelly Starrett, who's actually a physical therapist, and he's a funny guy, obviously. The titles doesn't sound like a really exercise physiology type book, but these two books are one of the best books I've read on movement, and I mean, we're still reading through them and utilizing them. But just reading through these books, we've realized, it's easy to assess someone and find their problem. It's hard to create a program or to actually fix the issue, and especially when you throw on 40 students in 1 hour-and-a-half session. We want to train them, and then they want to work hard and lift a bunch of weight, and you're trying to pull them back and fix their issues at the same time, and it's been pretty enjoyable to see that. But I just wanted to run through, what I've been doing. I wanted to make this more of a self-reflection, and that's kind of what I was doing. I thought I was just going to be able to, help a bunch of people out, and I realized I can, but it's going to take a lot longer than I thought. And so what we're actually doing is trying to create a system of movement, of progressions in exercise, which would be really basic, and progress on like a check-off type progression, where once we can see that you can perform a certain lift perfectly with full range of motion, then you'll move on to the next one, and we're not going to put you in a situation where it's going to make you disadvantageous or prone to injury. And so that's something that we're going to try to create a system, and I'll probably work with my supervisor beyond my internship, to kind of help create some sort of system for the future, kind of like a rubric or program for training into the future, which would be cool. But that's one thing that I've, reflecting back on what I've learned, I'm able to go and speak with kids. I see, what a problem is. I can work on mobility issues with their joints, capsules. A lot of what these books are talking about are imbalances on different sides of your body, imbalances with antagonistic and agonist muscles, and then just simple movement patterns that are wrong, moving in a wrong or moving in a wrong pattern, or engaging the wrong muscles, and just simple lack of understanding. And it's tough at a high school level to pull kids back and take the limited time that we have with them in the weight room, and to try to help them do things correctly and scale back, while at the same time pushing themselves to the next level and bringing the intensity every time in the weight room. So it's kind of hard to find a happy medium. So reflection, I'd say I definitely have not reached as many people as I thought I would, but I'd say we've done a great job to transition our mindset into somehow making this whole system into a large group setting, able to work with large groups, and rather than try to just work with each individual. It's too much time. So we've assessed kids on the FMS, a lot of kids, and we're gonna keep assessing them throughout this time and throughout the school year. Then we can use those assessments to work on those imbalances and find those dysfunctions that they have. And we've been working on ourselves, my supervisor and I, and it's it's one of those things where we've really realized the more I find wrong with myself in research, the more I'm going to be able to help with someone else, because I understand what happened on my own, I understand what I'm doing wrong, and what I needed to do to fix it. And so it's cool. We go everything from the start to gauging core and glutes, and stabilizing the neutral spine, embracing. That's for you, Dr. Janet. And from there we stem out and talk about shoulder position and hip position, and then from there we progress to knee and elbow, ankle, wrist, stuff like that. But we start from the core and work our way out, and we found that that's been really helpful in these movements and these patterns that we see kids falling into in disadvantageous positions. So that's what my self-reflection is. I think that the biggest takeaway from this objective is that teaching's easy with one person, I would say. It's tough with a group, and I want to create a system that we can follow a lot of, like Greg Cook. He's got a great system set up, and I want to somehow implement that into a large group setting to save my time as a professional. And a lot of this comes down to money. If I'm working, I want to be able to get the most work done in the minimum amount of time, and I want to get these kids results in the weight room. And so that's my self-reflection, is that it's been pretty cool to see my mind change and my mindset change, and how I'm going to perform the task that I want, or the objective that I want. So in the future, my goal is to be a chiropractor. That's kind of why I'm at Eau Claire for pre-chiropractic, and I want to utilize strength in the weight room, movement in the weight room in a controlled environment, and assess people's exercise habits, and see where their imbalances, see where their problems are, so that when I adjust them as a chiropractor, when their spine goes out of alignment, I want to be able to fix problems in their shoulders, hips, legs, knees, stuff like that, and minimize the pain, but also minimize the imbalance, so that their adjustment lasts longer and that they don't need to come back to see me. It sounds counterproductive, but my goal is to help people. It's not to make a ton of money. And so that's one thing that's been, just kind of turn the lights on for me, that if I can figure this stuff out now in the weight room, I can use these movement patterns in a chiropractic clinic and have, sort of like a weight room based chiropractic clinic, where I could have exercise equipment in a clinic and move on and assess people in this way and help them beyond just a simple adjustment when they come back, and trying to get them to come back to me. And so my goal is to see people as little as possible, and someday I hope it works out, and I know this is going to push me towards that direction. Thanks.